Hello everybody, welcome to this wonderful reading. I'm Zodiac, welcome. So basically in this wonderful tarot card reading I'm going to provide you, basically this is like a funny reading. Now I know you might say, why is it funny? Because I just had a thought in my own mind here that basically it means that, what is a beeline? What is it? Okay? A beeline is basically a different way of saying, like, there could be a different way, right? And there's lots of ways what's happening, right? So whenever I predict something or what's going to happen or whatever it is, I basically try to not make myself laugh. But whenever you get basically a very interesting instinct in your own mind about having a basically what's it called, a basic a belly laugh, and you can't stop laughing, it means that you can't, right? So it means that you have to understand the way how this is, the way it's going to be very interesting. This is just the way of how it's going to be, but this is going to be a tarot reading in one or another, and this is the way it kind of is. So you have to understand about what's happening in this whole entire significant way. And what I'm trying to tell you all about what is a beeline is basically what's going to be telling me what's the way of having to know about what's going on, right? And I know it does make sense, but in my own reality, it's basically how it's going to be, right? And you have to understand about what it looks like in the tarot situation, right? So it's like, this is the way it needs to be, how it's going to form. And you have to understand about the basic strategies, about knowing what to do, and you have to face that. So it's like, how would it be, how it is in one or another, and you have to provide what's happening in that, dynamic, and think, okay, well, everything seems to be fine, but then it's like, how would you, understand about what's going on? So you have to believe about what's happening, and you have to know the way about this whole entire truth, because it's based on that. So let me read you a card that says, an oracle card, and it says, surrender. I can release my need to control. The way how this is, the way how you're using your own surrender, you're waving the white flag, right? Now, this is the thing to be, right? So, can you imagine yourself being in a position about going to a grocery store, and let's say, the lineups are getting long and everything else, right, at a checkout, and you are heading to the beeline. The beeline means that you're going to be having your own surrender. You're going to exit, your own way, and going to like self-checkout, that's how it is. But in that way, you have to know what it seems to be in that way, about how to project your own self, to pay attention to it. So when you have your own surrender, you have to pay attention exactly how it is, and that's how it seems to be. That's why it kind of occurs in that way, right? That's how it is, right? So you have to understand what it seems to be in that way, right? So you have to believe what's happening in this whole entire situation. So here we go. So in this wonderful reading that I'm going to say is that this is the way of kind of imposes this situation. Basically the way how this is, basically, you have the King of Pentacles reversed. There's no security, there's nothing about that. The Six of Pentacles reversed, it means that there's no kindness whatsoever, because you're being unkind, you're being whatever. The Strength of reverse, you have no bravery, right? Because you're being scared, you're whimpering, that's all it needs to be. The Five of Wands upright, because it does represent chaos, because there's a lot of things that are going to be chaos and all that stuff. The Fool is upright because there's change that's going to come along, and in Dove reverse, there's no violation, nothing like that. But the way of this is, the way I'm talking about the beeline situation, the beeline section of how it is, you have to know exactly how it is, right? So I'm not trying to improve you're wrong, but the way how this is, the way how everything is in that way, you have to think about what's happening, right? It's like how you're going to, be fed up, in that way. But let's say what's happening in this situation. So just imagine yourself going to the grocery store and it's busy, like rush hour time. And let's say about how this is going to be in that way. It's like why that this is going to be very interesting of how it was. So let's see that I'm going to clarify this King of Pentacles. So let's see. So the Death card is upright, so there's endings. The Sun of Cups reverse, there's no delusion. Now Swords started, there's no drama. And the World is upright, there's completion. Yeah, because you're being completed and everything else. You're going to be completed about, okay, well, you have an ending, you have completion, but you went to the grocery store and you bought groceries. That's fine. But then when you are continuing about being into the beeline situation, and you're into it, you're heading into a different direction, right? You're heading into the self-checkout. You're heading about how it is. You're not going into the the lineups and getting your groceries and whatever, but you have to understand that, well, this is not going to end well. It's not, because you're not acting like any kindness here. So let me clarify this. The Five of Swords reverse, follow the Sun cards upright, follow the Three of Swords is upright. Yeah, because you're not having any basically conflict here, nothing. But the Three of Swords, there's sadness, whimpering, that's how it is. The Sun cards upright, you're staying positive. That's the way it goes. But then it's like, why are you feeling this way? Why it's the way of how it is, right? You have to promise of your own strategies about knowing what to do. So you can deal with another Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You can deal with another Scorpio. You're dealing with another Leo as a fire sign, as a Zodiac sign. That's how it is. But you pay attention on how it's going to be. So you have to know about your own ways about knowing what to do, right? So when you have your own clairvoyance or your own abilities from the right and wrong perspective, that's all you can do. But then you have to understand that, right? So what about the Strength card here? Wheel of Fortune reverse, you're having bad luck. The Four of Swords reverse, you're not basically having any rest. And the Magician is alright because you're having skill. Yeah, because it's based on that. It's based on about you're having your own strategy about knowing what to do, and then you have to know that, right? You're not trying to forfeit. You're not trying to back off and leave each other alone. It doesn't matter that, but you have to understand about what's happening that way and think, okay, well, this seems to be, I know what to do. I got this. It's like, really, but you have to understand that, right? You have to improve yourself wisely to get the better of you. That's how it is. But the promising about this beeline situation I'm talking about is that you are actually heading into the self-checkout, right? Because you already done your groceries, you already done whatever you need to do. Now you have to put all these groceries into self-checkout. That's how it is. But then that's the beeline situation, because you know what to do. You're not trying to wait in line up and think, oh, this is going to take forever, I quit. That's how it is. But you're using your abilities about having your own surrender, right? That's how it is. So that's how it seems to be. What's this 5 of Wands and this the Fool card? The Fool reversed, follow the Ace of Cups reversed, follow the King of Swords reversed. Yeah, because you're not having any love or anything like that. You're not having any change, but then you have no knowledge, right? It's like, why I'm not having this? Because it's basically how it is. It's like, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is not based on that, but that's how it is. So what's opposite between the Fool, the Ace of Cups, and the King of Swords? The Ten of Pentacles reversed. Yeah, it means that you have no money, right? It's like you're basically thinking like, well, this is not going to end well. Don't know what to do now, because that's how it seems to be, right? So it's like you're heading for your own direction, thinking, well, this is not going to prove myself wisely. It's like, why? That's how it is. So let me clarify with this 10 Pentacles here. The Two of Cups is upright, for the Queen Pentacles reverse, for the Judgment reverse, for the Justice reverse, for the Two Pentacles is upright. Yeah, because you're not telling the truth, but then you're balancing two things at once, right? The Two of Cups represents relationships or friendships, in that way, because that's how it is. If you are basically thinking that you already ran out of money because you can't afford, any more groceries because you're heading into that beeline situation. Whether you're going into that way about having the self checkout, that's how it is, right? So it's like everything is like declining. It could be your credit card, or it could be your bank, or whatever it is. And you have to understand that, right? What's this, the devil here? The Page of Swords, sorry, yeah, because you're being educated, right? That's how it is. When you have that way, you have the ability from knowing what to do and think that, well, everything seems to be fine. I know what to do. It's like, yeah, but it does make sense, right? You have to know about how your own priorities to get what you want, right? That's how it is. So let me clarify the left side, please. The Sun card reverse, follow the Hermit reverse, follow the Temperance upright. Yeah, because it represents your healing. That's the way it goes. The Sun card reverse, you're in negativity. It's like why? It's like, why I need to go to the grocery store even if I don't have any money, right? Or I might be in the self checkout, but I don't know if I can afford this. It's like the way it goes, right? So it's like, how would you understand about having your own sense abilities from knowing what to do, right? That's why it kind of occurs. And when you do that, it's like, how would you understand that in that ability? So let me clarify this sun card here. Wheel of Fortune reverse, so you're having bad luck. The Death card reverse, there's no endings, but the World is upright, there's completion. Yeah, because that's the way it goes, right? So it's like, why are you having this opportunity? Why are you looking at it from a different perspective? Because that's the way it goes. It's like, if you're in negativity, you're drawn into it, right? And you have to know about your own strategies about having the world is completion. Like, you want everything to be completed. You want everything to be unexpected. But that's how it is, right? So it's like, why you have to move along to get along, whatever it is, right? You have to understand, but the way of how you can accept on how it is, exactly from the right or wrong perspective, right? That's why it seems to be. And you have to understand about when things to be into the circumstance, whether you like it or not, you pay attention to it, right? You pay attention about what it seems to be in that process, whether if you're having bad luck, whether you're going to have completion, whether you have things that you're looking for. This is based on that, right? It's based on, what you're going to be doing next, So what's happening between this Magician all the way to the Sun card here? The Death card is upright because there's endings. The High Priestess is upright because you're using your voice. And the Empress is upright because there's nourishment. Yeah, so you could be doing a feminine as a woman, but in that way, right? So it's like when you have endings, when you're using your inner voice, that's the way it goes, right? It's like, okay, well, I know what to do. All right, I got this, but this should like never happened. I need to understand that, right? So you have to know about the way how it is, and it's based on how you can do it one another. So it's like you have to know what it takes. So let's say what's happening in the middle of the situation between the Fool and the King of Swords down here. The Devil is reversed, for the Devil is upright, for the World is upright, for the Judgment is reversed. So it means that you're not taking any action. You want completion. The Devil is upright. There's basically your violence. So you're having violence because you're not getting along. And the Devil is reversed. There's no decisions. It's like, why are you having this opportunity? Why are you looking at it from a different perspective? That's how it is. So it's like you have to know about what's happening in that way. So what's happening between this devil situation? The High Priestess reversed, for the Emperor reversed, so there's no structure. The Lover's reversed, there's no decisions. The Temperance upright gives her healing. Yeah, because it's based on that, right? It's based on how it's going to be in that way, and thinking, well, this is not going to end well. It's not, because it's based on that. What's happening with this Judgment here? The Justice reversed, you're not telling the truth. The Hierophant reversed, you're not having guidance. The Devil reversed, there's no violence. The Hermit reversed, there's no you already have a soulmate. The Judgment reversed, you're not taking any action. The Hangman is upright, you have restrictions. Yeah, because that's the way it goes. You're getting educated because you're having restrictions. That's the way it seems to be. But then it's like, how would you do what you can to do exactly what it takes, because you have to have that. So it's like, how would you understand that? So let's have something with this Page of Swords here. The Fool reverse. So you have no change, nothing. So it's like, why are you not having this? Well, let me clarify. Let me clarify this Fool card. The Fool reverse for the Magician, yeah, because you're gonna have skill. All right. What's happening with this Fool over here? The Strength card reverse. You're not even bravery, and because you're being scared, and you're having positivity. Yeah, because it's like you're trying to figure out, well, oh, okay, I'll be reading from right to left. You know, that's how it is. And the way how this is, the way you're having your own strategies from your own feeling of confidence, you have to know exactly how it is, right? Because you have to think that this is not bottoms up. This is not the way of how things to be. You have to know about how you can do it in one or another. It's like, okay, well, this is the way how it seems to be. So when you pay attention, whether if you are going to the grocery store and you have a lot of money, you have to pay attention on what kind of items you're going to get. And then after that, when you purchase it at the self-checkout, you have to pay attention to it. So you have to remember about the beeline situation. You have to know about the beeline section of knowing what to do. Because the beeline section is like where you're using the way about going through the self-checkout rather than having an actual checkout, as in like the teller, as in the client who's doing the employee stuff to enjoy about in helping you in that arrangement. You know, that's how it seems to be. So you have to understand about this is just how plural it seems to be, right? That's how it is. So it's like this is the way it kind of is at the moment, and that's why this is just a funny tarot card reading, because it is funny and it could make you all laugh, because that's how I'm kind of talking about this. So it's like that's the way it seems to be. So I'm gonna go from the middle, and this is the way it seems to be. So we have the King of Cups is upright. So we have support. You know, that's the way it goes. So when we have support, it's like that's the way it seems to be, right? Because you're having support. So like that's how it is. So it's like that's the way it seems to be. It's like how it is. We could be dealing with in our Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, as water signs, as zodiac signs, to pay attention to it. But that's how it is. So let me go from the middle to the right side and the middle to the left. Girlfriend reverse, there's no guidance. The Four of Wands reverse, there's no celebration. Queen Cups reverse, there's no empathy. The Three of Pentacles reverse, there's no excitement. Seven of Wands reverse, there's no resilience. Ace of Cups reverse, there's basically there's like prosperity of love, you know, in the way how it is. So you have to pay attention on how you're feeling in one another, right? So you have to understand about what's happening in this situation. Whether everything seems to be all great, but then it's like, how would you do it, right? This is the way how to understand about what you're going to be doing, because that's the way it goes. It's like, okay, I know what to do, I know it, I know how I can do it, that's the way it goes, right? So you have to understand how you're feeling in one another, right? That's how it is. What's something between the middle and the left side? The Two of Pentacles still right, you're balancing, two things at once. The Ace of Pentacles here is there's no prosperity. The Sun card is upright, there's positivity. The Totem of yours, there's no action. The Knight of Pentacles yours, there's no trust. The Tower of yours, there's no transformation. The Justice of yours, you're not telling the truth. The Empress is upright because there's no nourishment. Yeah, so there's going to be another woman in this situation, another feminine, because that's the way it kind of occurs. This is like, why are you doing this? Because that's how it is, right? So you have to understand, but when you have your own basic strategies about knowing what to do, that's why it seems to be that. What's in the middle of this situation? The Nine of Swords reversed, or the Nine of Pentacles reversed, so you're feeling uncomfortable, but the Knight of Swords is upright because there's drama here, right? That's the way it goes, because you're feeling uncomfortable, right? So when you're feeling uncomfortable, it's like, why are you putting this into this bad position? You know, it's like you have to know about your strategies. So you have to know exactly what it takes, because you're following that strategy about knowing what to do, right? That's why it goes along in that situation. So let's see what the universe is saying here. and then I'll see what the Zodiac Signs says, and then I'll do the Oracle card, and then I'll do reading the last end of the Enchanted Map. But this is just a funny reading, by the way, so it could be funny to all of you, and it's like, it's the way it seems to be, right? So it's like, how would you improve yourself wisely, right? So I'm going to go from the middle to the right, middle to left. So the Emperor's right, there's nourishment. The Six of Pentacles here, there's no kindness. Two of Cups right, there's relationships. The Lovers reverse, there's no decisions. The Justice reverse, you're not telling the truth because you're lying about something. And the Knight of Pentacles right, there's the Knight of Wands is right, there's immaturity, right? That's the way it goes. So it's like, why are you feeling like this? Why are you feeling like that? Because that's the way it goes. If you're not telling the truth and you're lying about something, it's like, why are you lying about? You know, that's the way it goes. So it's like, that's how it is. So let me clarify this truth card, because that's reversed. So the 10 Pentacles are right, because you have money. King because reversed, you don't want to support. The King of Pentacles reversed, there's no security. But the Magician's are right, because you have skill. Exactly. Because if you're acting to be immaturity, if you're acting to be having wealth, that's the way it goes. But when you have no kindness at all, you're being unkind, right? That's the way it goes. And you have to understand, but the way how this is, to accept on how it seemed to be in that way, right? It's like, this is the way it seems to be. You have to know exactly from the way of how you can feel, the way how you act, the way how you can be certainty about knowing what to do, right? This is the way it seems to be. This is the way about what's going on, and you have to understand that, right? This is the way it seems to be in one or another, and you pay attention to it, right? You have to understand that. What's in the middle to the left side, please? Taurus are right, there's transformation. Page of Pentacles are right, there's prospects. The Ace of Swords are right, there's anxiety. The Five of Wands reverse, there's no chaos. The Queen of Wands reverse, there's no charisma. Ace of Pentacles reverse, there's no growth. Three of Wands is alright, there's communication. Yeah, there's going to be communication, right? Because you're going to communicate. You have the best way about knowing what to do, and then it's like, okay, well, this is going to be like not like a soft spot. This is going to be a hard situation, right? Maybe a hard patch, whatever it is. But then it's like, how would you do that, right? That's the way it seems to be. You have to know about what's going happening in that way. It's like, okay, I know what to do, I got this, but then that seems to be. What's in the middle of this situation? The Ten of Wands are upright. There's burdens here. Yeah, because when you have burdens, you have everything else, right? That's the way it seems to be. It's like, why I'm going through this? It's like I'm going through what's happening. And when you have that, it's like you have the basically strategies about knowing what to do, right? That's the way it goes, right? So you have to understand that when things to be in that perspective, that's the way it goes, right? It's like, how would you understand about how you're feeling in one way or another? And that's how it kind of is. So